Completely agree. On defense here, you know, I've been seeing a lot of Torb lately in the games I've been playing. I also mentioned how I don't like to play Patch Day because of things like that, but Torb's pretty strong. Giving everyone armor can be a big deal. So, and we'll see if they actually leave spawn with this kind of composition too, and it looks like they are actually rolling out with it. And as Slasher, it is 0 for 2 now for you, Slasher. It's a rough day for predictions. Nesh does look like he's coming out on this Genji.
No. I got it. Don't worry, Hack. They ain't gonna pull that. I mean, we used to see Torbjorn all the time here on first point Hollywood defense.
Yeah,
and for sure, Torb is good, but there are a lot of things, especially Soldier right now and long range Pharah, that can just really mess up Torb. So even though Torb did get a buff, it's probably not going to come into play as much as maybe we want to. Maybe Nabani will see it a little bit, but I think it's still going to be pretty niche.
Torb or not, this defense is looking really interesting. They're running Nesh on Genji. Sherrick is going to be on the Reinhardt. Rubicon will play the Ana. Ari on a defensive. Winston. Kenzie will play a McCree, and Anak is going to be on the Zenyatta. So very different defense than we normally standardly see on Hollywood.
And yet they're still in McCree here. They're not giving in to the Soldier pressure. Meanwhile, you take a look here at the offense coming out here from the side of Mouse. They will be coming out of the Soldier, and the interesting thing for Mouse is that they were able to get through the archway immediately. There's really no contestant coming in here whatsoever from Slav squad, so for Mousesports, this actually isn't too bad in terms of position. They're going to be able to move up just a little bit more and look for an opening.
They're playing very defensive right now, very postured back to not even want to engage around that first bend, and taking a lot of damage on the shield is Sharik, as they allow both 3 tanks to just walk onto the point. Bloodless so far, but Venice takes down Artie. This defensive Winston was confusing and now already dead to the hands of a Lucio.
It's a 65 now for Mousesports, and they're just picking apart Slav squad right now. 65, they're winning the poke war. They're being a little bit more attentive than they should be with the 65 advantage, but now they're getting on top of the point, and this defense ground for Slav squad, it feels like they haven't been threatening at all. Here comes Sharik, though, diving right in, gets the charge on the Logics towards the very end. Trying to make something of nothing right now, but the offense still with a good amount of momentum as Swoosh picks up 2.
The offense just ignored the high ground, though, and they did end up losing some of their heroes to just the DPS that got over the top. It is very back and forth right now as Anak and Kenzie do grab a couple. They force out a very late transcend to make sure that they can hold on to the point. It has to feel like a little bit of a late victory from the offense, but they had a couple moments there where they seemed tentative and just did not seize their window.
The offense was tentative, the defense has been tentative.
Yeah.
Neither team is playing with a really big sense of urgency right now, but here comes Logics with the nano boost. Tactical visor, taking down Nesh, gets the double. And is this a new thing we're going to be seeing pretty often? It very well could be with the Soldier 76 buffs. Should be Mousesports getting in there. They're still losing people as they move in. It's not fully cleaned up yet, but those final 2 kills, that should be it. Mousesports well positioned now to take this first point.
Yeah, Kenzie does get a late kill there. That might be a thing that we start seeing, because Soldier can reposition himself very quickly, of course, does have Sprint, which is what got taken away from the Ana ultimate. And if you want full value of a player who's going to hit all their shots, what better than a tactical visor 76, making sure that you're just peppering in, and those targets will absolutely melt to an attack visor as well. So that, I think, is the second time we may have seen that today, or there were whispers of that's something that we might be seeing in this meta, and you see it there. Absolutely cleaning up. Right now, the offense is going to be making progress here. They do have Graviton, and they do have Whole Hog, almost all of their tank ultimates up to work with. I do need them to prove to me that they can get a Graviton combo. We haven't seen a good one from them since the very opening salvo of Eichenwalds.
And right now, for the side of the defense, we do have Nesh here sitting over the top, holding on that Dragon Blade, just looking for his opportunity to dive down, unsheath it, and get down and dirty into the back line. Gonna have to be really, really careful about the Roadhog here being played by Swoosh, though. Kandrin is there to hurry. The Roadhog hook is down. And Nesh is still just holding on. Again, neither team really being eager to initiate here. It's actually very strange just how passive both teams are playing. Neither team wants to be the first mover. Earthshock comes in from defense, does absolutely nothing. Here comes Nesh. Nano Blade in action. Nesh moving to the back line, looking for Lucio. Gonna get booped back and just not getting that much out of this here, Hex.
It's very strange how these teams are fighting, and now they're all over the place. They give up so much free ground on this defense. That payload did not stop moving. Now they will finally start cleaning it up here as Kenzie gets a 3K on his McCree. That's 4 for him, as Artie does chime in as well. But look at where this card is, and that was for nothing. This is more akin to a picnic than an Overwatch match. What is happening?
It's very weird overall. Just, you think about some of the games we've seen recently where teams are very aggressive at engaging, tank play that's in your face. Both teams are giving each other just so much room that's a little bit weird. Kenzie was able to clean it up in the end. Probably more fan the hammer I've seen in months, at least in one shot. I mean, seriously, that's like 3 or 4 fans in a row. That was old school Voltagia highlights from, you know, circa 6 months ago. But take a look here. Defense holding up here on the top. Offense coming in, and the defense actually, they're outgunned. Their Reinhardt is down on ground floor, so they actually have to get up the entire high ground here to the offense.
And the offense did switch onto a Genji as well to make sure that they can contest that high ground too. They do walk over the bridge. They took that second roof and then decided to retreat again. I am just flabbergasted at what we're seeing here on these passive engagements.
I mean, part of it, of course, you do have the ult change, so teams get ultimates up less often. Maybe it's a case where teams without ultimates are really just wondering how to engage right now. But even still, you can be a little bit more aggressive than what we're seeing right now.
Well,
both teams just
might see the new
playing
combo
a game of long-range footsie. But here comes Reinhardt in off the top rope, leading the way. And Logic on the attack visor got to that flank. 3 kills in from Logic's, had them all in his sights, and this is going to finally open things up here for Mousesports.
Yeah, they get 5 kills there. That should be everything. Logix does finish it with authority there. Rifle butt to Zenyatta's Omnic Dome, and they should be able to get this at least on the verge of second point. But you might be right that the pacing might just be different now, as teams are still very comfortable fighting only with ultimates, and I think teams are still trying to figure out when they want to fight. Here comes the Dragon Blade incoming, gets boosted from the Nano Boost. Nash taken down immediately, though, by Burix. That is 2 ultimates that got 0 value. That is going to be brutal for the defense. That should spell the end of the defensive hold.
And Logic's just having no problem sitting on top, laying the damage here as 76 just pummeling Winston as he was knocked to the ground. And Mousesports now finally getting good amount of momentum. They're going to have Dragon Blade up here for the next fight as well. Swoosh going highly in. Down goes Nash, and Mousesports almost at the enemy spawn right now. They will have to go back to push the payload a little bit, but finally, like I said, just a little bit of momentum coming in.
We're searching for answers right now on this Slav squad as Nesh will switch again to Reaper. Was on it for about 20 seconds. Will flip now over to Soldier 76. That's never a great sign when you're just switching constantly. It means that there's confusion. It means that you don't have a set plan in place of how to deal with this offensive composition. Offense with a great advantage as far as ultimates go as well. They're running a defensive Winston now too. This Slav squad looks a little bit out of sorts.
Definitely does seem a little bit out of sorts. Sharik right now holding on to the Earthshot, gonna be looking for him. Meanwhile, Swoosh in the back line has already taken down Kenzie, looking for a little bit more. Ends up dying to Nash. So right now, both teams trading out kills. Logix, though, in the back, holding on to attack visor. Offensive squad still with a 1-player advantage. And I gotta say, Soldier just murdering Reinhardt shields right now. Very hard for Reinhardt to withstand the new DPS increases Soldier. Late defensive sound barrier coming in here from Slav squad. That's gonna give them the muscle they need to push this right back. 3 kills coming in. They will hold.
The sound barrier is really nice there. I think the ultimates that affect the entire team are going to be that much more valuable. I agree with you that we will not see Lucio out of the meta anytime soon because sound barrier still giving everyone on your team an advantage is huge, and that's exactly why they're able to hold that. A little bit interesting that Finzi tried to hook Lucio afterwards. That was never going to get anything done, but now we're starting to see a little bit of a taste of old school. As both teams have banked up 3 to 4 ultimates, we might finally see the first giant Q battle of the day. Here comes the grab, or here comes the Ana boost onto Logic. He rotates around, trying to get his attack visor off. During this, Logix gets a couple kills. Logix gets 3 kills. This might be the final push that they need.
Very well could be, but the defense fighting right back, so it's not at all secured. Defensive response, of course, will be incoming sooner rather than later, but Mousesports, they get the final 2 kills. 3 kills from Finzi towards the end off that whole hog, and what a hook towards the end. Finzi coming in big here for the offense, but they've lost so many people that the defense, led by Sharik, could still come back here onto this point. It's getting tense here, but Slav squad gonna have the numbers advantage here in a moment if they can just stay alive a little bit longer.
It's very possible. A very nice trade early on there onto the Soldier 76 from the Ana, and as you mentioned, if they can just get some trades in here, but that Death Blossom is going to take all options of trading away as Swoosh will close it out with only 4.7 seconds remaining on the clock.
0 to 3. Switching sides.
Alrighty, so we're going to be swapping off sides.
Coming from Mouse. But I do think that both teams still playing a little bit sloppy.
Yes.
Some weird fights in the middle, especially on the second point, really not engaging either too well, and both teams are going to have to kind of get it together, I think, moving forward.
I think I'm going to give everyone a little bit of a grace period and pass today because it is so new. I know a lot of teams don't even really scrim that much on the PTR, so they're all still kind of adjusting on the fly, as it were, as well. So, yeah, it was definitely a little bit sloppy and all over the place. The interesting thing to me was just they didn't want to fight. They never wanted to fight. I think teams are just so used to going into these giant brawls where they have so many ultimates up that it's going to take a little bit of time for them to realize sometimes we just have to fight without ultimates up. And generally, prior to the patch, that was a last resort kind of thing. Like, wait, I guess we have to go in without ults. Now it might just become the standard. But that was an extremely passive and slow pace, at least Streets phase too.
In general, it seems like both teams are just confused as to how they wanted to do engagements, and almost certainly new patch has a lot to do with it, especially when you stop and think about last patch where so many times teams were relying on just using Ana to get things going. But by the way, just on a side note, since this is a big community news, I think it's worth mentioning on stream, people are talking about, but it is true that Tailspin has left Team Envious, sort of a developing situation. We'll see what goes on there in terms of who might be replacing Tailspin and Envious, where Tailspin might be going in the game. Interesting stuff in the community. But we are continuing forward here on Hollywood. It's going to be Mousesports on the defense, and they will be running that 76.
North American teams just can't let Europe have their day, huh? Like, we're doing a European tournament for the first time. You got to break some giant news like that as a top NA team. Although, are they even an NA team now as Tailspin off that roster, like you mentioned? But they are going to rotate here in on offense. Nothing really interesting on either side as far as composition goes. They are running in the offensive Genji. We'll see what Nesh can get done there. Offensive Winston as well. A more akin to a dive composition. Yet to go with the dive. There is the dive onto the back line. Take goes over the top of the cafe. Who's going to win this skirmish here as they have a pocket mercy? That is going to be Logic's getting the better part of that, but Birds goes down in the process. Very back and forth right now, ZP.
It's a double kill from Logix early on. They dove into the cafe, but they weren't able to secure the kills. It was a double dive between Winston and Genji. Take a look at Logix, just able to just withstand. And the thing we're noticing here about Soldier with this damage increase is that it actually amps up every part of him, because if he's doing more damage to you, you're going to want to back out sooner rather than later. It means he's going to get more value off his health station because you can't pressure him as hard. So for now, definitely working out as Burks rejoins the fight. Just going to stay on Logix here, and here comes the offense once more.
Oh, they are going to dive him yet again. The same combination goes down in the back lines. That is, now they're getting the better part of it as they take down Burks. That's going to make Logix back out and look for health elsewhere as they do. They take over this house right now, deep dives, and now they're going to come in to try to support this as the rotation comes around. Logix still alive though, takes down 2 with his attack visor. Logix has had a good day today.
Logix just staying alive, does finally go down towards the very end, but a lot of the damage has been done. The defense is reinforcing. Nesh, though, still in here, has a Dragon Blade. The offense is going to have a window here where Nesh is going to be able to go into the Dragon Blade. The Nano Boost is up, so this is one of the main ways that teams have remembered how to actually engage. Of course, that was bread and butter of last patch, and you got to think that Slav squad, with 2 minutes remaining here, they want to use this right here, right now. Here comes Nesh over the top. Dragon Blade is in, moving for the Mercy, takes down Burks immediately. No threat of a resurrection now, and just murders both supports.
Yeah, Nesh with 3 kills there, jumping through to the sky, then popping his Dragon Blade, getting that Ana ultimate. I believe you will still see Ana ultimates on the mobile heroes because taking away that speed is an enormous deal. No more Reapers, you can just totally kite that, but Genji's still good with it. Soldier 76 we've seen, so can be good with it. That is a combination that will stay to the sky. Was Nesh first, is able to take this point. He's going to switch immediately, and ZP, this has to warm your heart.
It does warm my heart just a bit, and Hex, you think the Widow coming out here is to deal with the Soldier a little bit more, where the Widow doesn't necessarily have to worry about getting bursted down, can look for the counter burst onto the Soldier?
It is the only thing that can really outrange a Soldier 76, and especially in this rooftop area, you cannot leave him uncontested. You at the very least have to make him uncomfortable. That's one way to make him uncomfortable. Logix takes a bullet to the dome, Nesh winning that war early on.
Yep, 65 down. Here's Artie right now holding on to Graviton. Might have a golden opportunity here to take out both tanks if he's going to go for it. Here's the Graviton, pulls in 3. Slav squad looking for the follow-up on this. They're going to take down Burks. Burks somehow got involved in there. 2 kills coming out here from Slav squad as they keep the momentum going forward. And a lot to be said here for Nesh. Nesh cleaning up kill after kill on that Widowmaker.
He's making it work. Kenzie goes down, but Nesh gets another couple of kills. Burks got bullied off the rooftops by a Winston up there. Tried to fly towards his team, got sucked into the black hole. So him dying is really brutal, as that resurrection was probably going to bring them back into the fight. Nesh now in a really comfortable position over top, and I've always said it too, even if Widow's not hitting shots, which is not the case, changes where the defense can even fight.
And Nesh right now very comfortable, but not so comfortable here. Defensive Genji coming out, sending her on a ride. And now, just like that, Mousesports coming back in, a 6v5 in their favor. Nano Boost coming out as well, and here comes Logix. It's a Tac Visor Nano combo we've been seeing so much, as Logix is just going to force everyone on the offense back.
Still not the worst, though, for the defense there. They're able to disengage pretty strongly, so that's 2 ultimates now out for, for the defense, rather. I misspoke. But not exactly what you want. You'd like to get 3 or 4 kills off of that. Offensively, they're in a great position ultimate-wise. They're going to have their tank ultimates up. They're going to have Sound Barrier, which we've seen already win fights, and they know there's not going to be one on the other side there. So as long as they can kill Burix in this next engagement when they choose to fight, they should be in great position.
And the Mercy here, I know they've been on Mercy quite a bit. We haven't seen too many huge reses, but next fight underway right now. Rubicon with the Nano Boost early on. Nesh right now going to the back line, looking for Logix. Gonna take out Logix early, so everything working out here for the offensive Slav squad. Just clean and easy, works out from the Nano Boost, and this is gonna be a full 6-0.
The Nano Boost again onto a mobile hero too, and I know Winston's not super fast, but his jump is on a low cooldown. That's exactly what you saw the initiation. They prioritized taking down Burix there to make sure the resurrection wasn't coming back in. That was Kenzie's only job, did complete it towards the end. They did bust down Earth Shatter as well on the card, so had to use a couple ultimates, but most importantly, I think, is they were able to save Sound Barrier for the next fight. Nesh does go down late to Logix as they choose to continue engaging right now, which is actually pretty fine for the offense, as they just have to wait for the card anyway. Might as well try to get some free damage in.
And the thing about Soldier now, not only is he great at punishing people when they go in, but I feel like the buff to Soldier actually kind of nerves Reinhardt. You see Reinhardt shields really having trouble staying up when the other team is running the Soldier. Logix just laying shot after shot into the shield. The offense still trying to move forward. Here comes Graviton from the offense, pulls in one. Won't be enough. Shriek leading the way. Quick and easy here coming up from Zaska. Shriek picks up 2, and Kenzie gonna go Primal Rage in the back, sending Logix on the ride, but eating so much damage in the process.
I think Sound Barrier is so important right now in this meta, which I think will eventually lead to teams running a Sombra, but that right there, they came in trying to wipe the team with a Genji Dragonblade. Sound Barrier says absolutely not. They cleaned that up. The defense is in a solid position as far as ultimate economy goes right now. We've seen all the work that Logix can get done. We'll see if he gets boosted here. It might even be a time where you can still boost your tank as well, as there's going to be an Ana boost incoming from both sides momentarily. It does go.
And here comes Logix right now. Tac Visor is out, Nano Boost is on him, grabs Nesh immediately. Might have to sell for just that, but it's so difficult to deal with this combination now. That damage versus Soldier is so good as Logix picks up more. The cleanup on Soldier, absolutely massive. Good to see his Soldier 76, you were missing for a while. But it does appear that he is back, at least for now. But Hex, what do you think of the offense going to this next fight? It does look like Nano Boost, Dragonblade could be pretty big here.
I think offense is absolutely thrilled that that Transcendence came out as late as it did. Burix is not feeling good about that, trying to chase them down with the Zoom-Yata. That is what would have been one of their saving graces that's about to come in. And here comes the boost onto a Genji into the background. He takes down Divinus early on. They would love to have healing up all around right now in Transcendence. They do not have it, but it's Zeal bringing it back on the strength of his hammer, taking down several. Only 2 kills is the final tally from Nesh. I expected a great deal more, and I'd imagine that the Slav squad did too.
Well, the thing about the Nano Boost Genji combo right now is that it doesn't necessarily have this. I mean, it's not like Genji has a huge issue getting on people, but it's not quite as free as it used to be with amazing amounts of speed. And Hex, going into this here, what do you think the offense is going to engage with here? Because it feels like with no ultimates, it's going to be very difficult to get in, especially when Swoosh could come in over the top.
They just have to fight. They don't have any options here to wait for ultimates or anything like that, especially now with the patch only 20 seconds left. So they're going to have to do it vanilla style here, but Swoosh does come in with a Death Blossom, ends most of those dreams. We've seen Death Blossoms close out the map, both on offense and on defense for this team. Right now, that might be it. They're going to Desperation switch to a Tracer here to try to get to the card, but this is looking rather grim.
It is looking very grim. This is the last gas coming out here from the Slav squad. They need to get in the cart. Nesh trying to get back in there, joining his team. They are scattered, and they're just hoping for the miracle. But with Logix in the back, getting cleanup after cleanup could be very, very rough indeed. And everything going red right now. Everything for Mousesports. Nesh is going to take on Burix in the back, but it's just not going to be enough. It's going to be Mousesports taking Hollywood. Close game between the two, but Soldier play for Mousesports definitely stand out here versus the Slav squad.
Logic's looked great. He had some nice McCree kills early in Eichenwald earlier in the day as well. He's you know, making a bit of a name for himself, at least in my book. I don't think of him at the top of my list here, but he's looked good. And as the meta develops and changes, you might start hearing more names that you're not used to hearing. But Booth did close out the map in a couple of different instances, both on the offense as this Death Blossom, which is probably the one we're going to see here, and on the defense as well with Death Blossom. So Death Blossom's still alive and well, just does not have the light show on.
Well, that clearly is one of the big changes of this patch, is that without the speed boost from Nano Boost being able to be applied to the Reaper, you're going to see a whole lot less Death Blossom play the games, just straight up. And that was last patch, this is the new patch. A little bit different overall.
Not sure if you guys know, Soldier's pretty good. So we're pretty good right now. And what you just saw in this map, honestly, we will be seeing for the entirety of every top team in Overwatch. Soldier can really just burst down entire teams right now. Between McCree and Soldier, Soldier is the better pick most of the time. And you can see that, really, what he's able to do. And as teams that have players that are known as Soldier players, we will see some really sick things going forward. The thing I think I will mention most about this match, and even the previous one, we will be seeing Lucille-less first point and last point defense and offenses more than ever before, where you can do Zen Ana, you can do Mercy Ana, you can do Mercy Zen, and really that was never a viable thing. We will see that more, but Lucio will continue to be on King of the Hill.
So interesting that you mentioned the change up in terms of players. So let me ask you this, just two notable cases. Bromos, of course, had a very good 76 before he had to go to McCree. Do you think we're going to be seeing Bromos on 76 again when we do see Dignitas play?
100%.
That's number one. And then number two is that, what about players that are really, really good on McCree, like your Taimus and IDD QDs? Are they still going to stay on McCree?
Okay, 100% number one, Bromos is immediately Soldier Dignitas, top one world, incoming, no problem. You know, it's a very tough question because I've talked to a few McCree players, a few of these top McCree players, and they want to stay on McCree because if you hit every headshot with McCree, you still do more damage. But Soldier is just more consistent. I have a feeling we will be seeing a bit more of a shift, honestly. But I think double hit scan is a very realistic possibility going forward. We're actually going to see it both teams right now.
Yeah,
very interesting. And yeah, actually, I'm curious to see this coming out here with the 76 and McCree double combos. So who says you can't have both?
Well, the only difference right now is Burix will be running the Zenyatta, whereas Rubicon will stay on the Ana. So as the game goes on, we'll see how their ultimates end up affecting things. One more defensive, so that is the biggest switch. Giant Hook comes in early, takes down Sharik, and Azil is now going to be the only shield up in this fight. Although Shields, as you mentioned, not having the greatest time. There is another Hook. That is a one fight early on, 3-0 in the kill column.
Right now, I feel like you actually can't run a Reinhardt versus this. Between McCree, Soldier, and Roadhog,
right.
You need to get off Roadhog, or you need to get off Reinhardt. It's not going to work. That's way too much damage versus your shield. It's not going to live. I mean, we're going to watch Sharik's point of view going into this next fight, but look at how quickly this is going to get poked down. If you have all three of those DPS players, I mean, Roadhog's a tank, but he does a lot of damage to Reinhardt shields. You have all three of those sources going in. Look at how fast the shield is going down. It's already gone. Like, this is the worst that a Reinhardt shield has ever felt, short of an EMP.
That is pretty brutal there. So Reinhardt now just a guy with a hammer, not the best tool in a fight when you don't have a shield, but he's just kind of going to get the regen, try to poke back. He's doing his best to make it work at the very least, as they're kind of bopping around. But Logix takes down Sharik to begin this fight.
And Finty right now going along the backside, not satisfied with just one pickoff. Looking here from McCree, actually gets stymied a little bit by the Zarya shield. Does create an opportunity. Here comes the Sound Bearer though from Mousesports, and that's going to let them just roll into Slav squad. And I gotta say, if Sharik doesn't get off the Reinhardt soon, I'm gonna be surprised because it is not working out. There's just way too much damage for that shield.
Well, both teams are running the Reinhardt still, so I suppose if one switches, they might both switch, but they're trying to prove that they can make it work.
The difference is, though, between the teams is that one team is running Roadhog, the other team is not. The Roadhog is a really big deal in cracking Reinhardt shields. If both teams were running Roadhog, sure, it'd be even. Both Reinhardts would just not have a shield. But in this case, it definitely favors Mousesports. The next fight here is underway. Offense coming in here with the Sound Barrier.
Well, here comes the attack visor, but a really nice responsive Transcendence comes out to keep most of his team alive, although that team is now only 4 people alive as a couple got out of the barrier of Transcendence. Bergs does take down Freak, but this should be a captured point finally coming out from the side of Slav Squad. They're going to squat on the point.
I think for Slav Squad, that was a must-win fight. If they had lost that, they would have lost the round. Now, though, they're going to have to hold on here for every last remaining fight. Going to be about 5 or 16 fights that they must win. And really, all they have in reserve here, they have a Graviton, they have a Deadeye. Not too much. And remember, ults are more at a premium in this patch. And we're going to be repeating that a lot, but it is true right now where you're not going to be seeing quite as much crazy assault-wise. So this Graviton, very important that Slav Squad gets a lot of value off of it, and it's all going to depend on Artie here as he looks for that setup.
Well, you talk about cracking the shield, and that's exactly what they're doing. Azeal's going to be very careful, gets very low early on. They do not put the requisite damage into the shield. This Graviton does not get a ton, but Kenzie does follow it late with a Deadeye takes down 2. It is about 3v3 right now, and Nock is going crazy on his swoosh. This Lucio, kind of with a death wish right now, but he's alive.
Absolutely, and it's interesting to take a look at how teams defend here when they have the Soldier. Soldier are actually really good at just punishing people for poking forward. And don't forget too, with the decreased ult charge, you're not getting punished as much by support ultimates, where support ults would be up constantly from Soldier last patch. Right. Not as much this patch with that change, but here comes Mousesports. They find a way of getting through. They get directly onset point, gets Slav Squad a little bit off guard. Nanoboost comes on Nesh, though, as he goes to the back line. Here comes the Attack Visor, looking for the pickoffs. Has 1, has 2, looking completely unstoppable. This combo so strong in this patch. 4 kills coming out here from Slav Squad, and they will hold.
I love how teams just figure it out right away. Like, this is the new thing we're going to be seeing now. Attack Visor into the Ana boost right there, absolutely crushing it. Robots aim really well, and the Cyclops Visor is helping out a great deal as they are now 1 fight away from winning this, bringing it back from the brink at 96%. Next fight will win this stage.
And that was a great bit of staggering there. Finzi might not even be back here in time, so Slav Squad well positioned now to take this round. And one to look at here is Shriek. Shriek holding on to Earthshatter. We do have Swoosh coming in here off the flank. Here comes the hammer, though. Gonna knock him down. That's one of the stopping Attack Visor. Slav Squad up to start this fight. Soundbear is still in, though, from Mousesports as they go back in. They've retaken the advantage as Finzi looking for a hook. Does land the hook. Zarya coming up to support as, again, both teams trending off. But Mousesports looking like they might be able to pull this back. More going in their favor.
Axe have done so much work, and what Mouse had going for them there is that they had 2 support ultimates up, and those are the more defensive ones that I mentioned. They had Transcend, which allowed them to initiate the fight, start and stay healthy, and then they got their sound barrier after the other sound barrier had dissipated. Support ultimates still very important in any sort of game or meta. They had 2 to the opposing 1, as you see Rubicon still sitting there at 93%, and even so, I think that that would have been not the ultimate that they wanted in that situation. So Mouse running the Transcendence and running the sound barrier, able to take that final fight away just with simple staying power.
Absolutely. Now, one interesting thing coming in here, and we heard about this coming in, but we're not really seeing it here, and I'm curious here, just to poke your brain about this a little bit, Slasher, is that you're mentioning D.Va being crazy, crazy strong. We're not really seeing D.Va as much as you might think here, even with all the Soldier play.
Yeah, everyone is wrong. What everyone is doing right now is wrong. You should be playing D.Va. D.Va is that good, and I think the better teams will be using D.Va. Everyone is messing up right now.
So you're saying it's not a D.Va problem, you're saying it's a team problem right now between Mouse and Slav.
These teams are not doing it right.
Oh,
okay.
Slasher is fire today. I am enjoying it. So 76 has always been solid on this stage, even kind of pre-patch. You didn't see him very often just because there were better options, but no surprise here when you continue to see 76. The distance that he allows your team is just, the map allows your team is so nice for 76 and McCree. We see one on both sides.
Right now, Swoosh just hanging in here, throwing in poke. Both teams throwing out poke early on. Both 76s highly important to this. Swoosh already had 50% ultimate charge, so in a patch where ult charges up slower, Soldier apparently not as affected as both Soldiers, gaining all sorts of ultimates. Swoosh though being just a little bit more effective, and that's letting Mousesports get better positioning here. They should be challenging points soon as a Helix rocket just domes Rubicon from across the map.
And that should be it. Artie's going to come in late on the Zarya. We'll see if he sticks with that. Zarya, not the auto-include that she once was. So that is the only difference between these teams. Finzi is running a Roadhog. Artie is running a Zarya instead. It looks like he will stick on that. But that is the first capture for Mousesports, or for, Mousesports, as they're able to take positioning on the stairs now. So far, though, I will say Azil has gotten the better Rhine games against Sharik. He has taken him out several times with fire strikes. That shield is might as well just not even exist. Might as well unbind our M2 right now.
And Swoosh right now, this has been the story of his game, just sitting back here, laying in the poke, almost getting a long-range kill from that as well. Finzi will be taking down Sharik, and Mousesports making it look easy, just suppressing Slav Squad here, not even letting them get in at this point as they're going to rush this down.
It's going to be even more difficult for teams to get in on these stages. As you've mentioned, those shields are just getting cracked so hard, and that's usually one of the things you can build a team around as far as entryways go. So he's got a fresh shield now to Sharik. We will count down the seconds on how long he's able to keep that alive.
So then, so many ultimates up here for Mousesports. Again, in a meta where you don't really get ults all that often. They haven't been forced to. They've just been able to poke down Slav Squad repeatedly here. At some point, they'll have to use ultimates, but for now, they don't need to. So Slav Squad has such trouble actually moving forward. But here we go. Ground Ton is in, and Mousesports going to be counterattacking here with all their ultimates. Deadeye in, Tech Visor in. They open up with 2 kills.
Transcendence comes in late, maybe a little bit not needed, but Gert's putting the victory candle on that fight. I think you're going to see McCree Deadeyes becoming so much more effective, as you mentioned, as the shields are just pretty much non-existent, crushed there as well. And honestly, you're seeing a lot of interesting geography play from these Reinhardts too, knowing that they're not going to have shields up, finding different killers in areas where they can hide out and defend.
Well, next fight is underway. Last fight here for Slav Squad. This is a must-win situation for them. If they lose this fight, that's going to be it. Nesh in the back with the Tech Visor has won. Looking for more. Kenzie's going to be his wingman here, but 4v4 at the moment. But you take a look at the poke war, you take a look at the health between both teams in Slav Squad, definitely with a bit of an edge. They were able to retake the point in the Chaos, and Nesh just able to mop up the remnants. And that's one thing, Hex, that I'm really noticing here about this meta is that cleanup kills are brutal, where last patch a lot of it was McCree, but if you're running a McCree soldier, actually getting away from a point as it's winding down seems almost impossible.
That is a lot of late. And two, you also have to be very careful of your poke, as Logix just finds out over there and has to roll himself away because a shot from the soldier, a Helix rocket, and a McCree shot, and that is just it. You are instantly deleted. The shield goes down for Azil as they come in. Logix with a quick pick onto Artie, or rather vice versa, that as Logix is going down in the fight, a big source of DPS as they continue to clean up. And the dirtier the fight gets, the better McCree is, and he is able to take down another. That is a held fight from the Slav Squad.
And Slav Squad now, I mean, this is a lot of good time being bought. Not only did they win that fight, but they dragged it out for a really long time. That gave them effectively a free team fight here, where now you take a look at this, they really don't have to win one team fight the way these fights have been going with how long they've been. So it's actually a rough situation here for Mousesports. Swoosh is going to have the Tech Visor up and at the right, so will Nesh. So relatively even between both teams as well. Here comes Logix, so he's going to open up here with the Deadeye. Skulls popping up immediately, though. See Slav's got running, but a knock! I don't know why a knock was there, but that is going to be a terrible, terrible turnaround here. And Mousesports now well positioned to grab this point.
Transcend is going to come in to mop up the rest of us, keep everyone alive on the point. A knock, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the call of Lucio on this map, though, right? They're always on the point, hanging around, skating around to try to get some pressure, to try to deny takeovers. But a knock finding himself on the wrong side of that Deadeye really opened up the fight for them, and they're able to take stage 2.
I'm like, this is a case where I'd love to go back replay-wise and just look at a Nox found moments there where somehow in response to Deadeye he just ends up on the point, like like the rest of his team was so far away from him. It's just he gave up that kill for free, and then down Lucio, you're probably not gonna win the fight. So a little bit of rough time there, but Mousesports up 2-0 over the Slav Squad here on Nepal. They're up 1-0 the series as a whole, so this is series point for them. Slav Squad on the ropes.
Just so interesting post-patch to watch everything redefine itself. No Tracers, no Genjis here. There's no Ana, no Zarya. Well, there actually is a Zarya. Finzi's going to run it now too, but that used to be able to call King of the Hill comps before they even left spawn, and not the case now. They are both going to take top side here. Both shields already barriers not holding. They're going to have to retreat, and no, that is a late retreat from Swoosh. Finds himself out there. They do even it up, though. Already goes down 5v5.
5 at the moment. Logic's flashbang over the top, setting up Mousesports here. And it's still evenish, but you take a look, the flow of the game more in favor of Mousesports, and Logic's gonna get the key headshot on Nesh, and just like that, Mousesports will be getting first control at this point.
My ultimate is charging.
It started off all the way bad for them, too. Swoosh did not get the memo to retreat, got discorded and taken down very early, but now he is back in the fight. They gave up the proper ground that they needed, and even though they gave up one, they fought back very quickly with Burks. Burks' Zenyatta has actually been pretty solid, so I've been surprised on the maps that he's continued to run Mercy on, as I feel they're not getting the exact value out of that. Sometimes his transcends are a little bit odd, but so far he's been just actually doing a ton of damage. This is a damage-oriented meta. There's so much coming out from both sides, even down to the supports.
Absolutely, and it's definitely rough here for tanks. I just wonder how long we're going to see teams continue to try and run Reinhardt into, because it's a catch-22, right? On one hand, Reinhardt's one of the best characters in the game at helping deal with poke damage and giving you an entry. But on the same note, Reinhardt's shield is not lasting very long here. I'm not convinced that it's optimal when teams are running this, especially when Soldier is just so good at just mowing it down so incredibly quickly.
It is overwhelming poke damage at that point, so they are going to rotate around, keep the shield up, and now they're going to fight. The grab does come through on all of them. They grab them all, and that is a huge Deadeye. Takes down 3 Nesh. The only kill on the other side of it, as that is a full cleanup. The good thing for the Slav squad is that they are still going to hold on to most of their ultimates, but not even much of an advantage on that.
My ultimate is charging.
Yeah, the upside is they have ultimates. The downside is that so does Mousesports. And the bigger downside is at 70%, with how long these fights have been, this could be their last major attempt at taking this. I gotta tell you, Rex, they need to get a kill really early on here. Swoosh is about to have the tack visor, and we have a Soldier duel in the backline. Swoosh, tack visor coming up, but he's low. Both teams trading off, and it's gonna be Logic's the first pick off. Nesh is down, and here comes Swoosh for the fall on the left side, setting up Logic's for 2 picks. And Mousesports super close now to taking the round and taking the series.
Logic's just shut down 2 ultimates that were looking to swing the game. They had attack visor came out, he got murdered by Logic's, then came the counter Deadeye, and that is the best feeling as a McCree, is when you take down the opposing McCree's Deadeye. Logic's gonna come out here with the zoning ult, zones Kenzie right into the ground, as they will take this stage, this map, and this set.
So, very interesting coming out here, and I think one thing that we can take away is that with poke damage being so strong this patch relative to the last patch, I do think it's going to be a little bit until teams get very comfortable engaging the way they did before. Teams got very used to how to engage in the last meta, which is why we saw decisive engagements time and time again, especially when you had ults up every 3 seconds under the old ult charge, but now ults don't come up nearly as often. Tanks have a much harder time with how strong DPS is now, especially fed by this new Soldier, and it's going to be interesting how teams adapt.
I wonder if they changed play of the game algorithm, too, because that's the second Zarya one we've seen where she did not do a whole lot, but her Graviton was instrumental. So generally that would have been a McCree play of the game, but Zarya getting it, too. So finally giving her some love as she is, you know, still staying around the meta, still kind of scratching her way through it. Now, that was Mousesports looking a lot better, but Slav Squad did 0-2 earlier today to Bonjour. So is Mousesports a little bit better, or is Slav Squad just having a rough time today, Slasher?
I'd say Slav Squad is having a little bit of a rough time. I think it's still going to take more time for them to get accustomed to each other. Rubicon, of course, just came back from BlizzCon along with an axe. They even haven't really had any time to get much practice in. PTR went down for a day or 2 before the patch went up. They are going to have, I think, more issues than other teams. But also, we only saw Mouse against NIP, who was really, really good, and more than likely going to win the group. So it's hard to see what is going to happen so much. I will say, though, from scrimming a bunch yesterday and today on the new patch and watching other teams as well, I think we are going to have the most diversity on King of the Hill that we've ever had. I've seen triple tank Soldier. We just saw double hit scan on both teams. I've seen dive comp with Genji Tracer on both teams. And I think that will only continue to be whatever the team's strengths are. If you have a really, really good Genji and Tracer player, you're going to be running dive comp. If you have sick hit scan players, you're going to be running that type of comp. If you have tanks, then especially Roadhog or D.Va, and we are going to see it, I think that will be what we see, and we haven't really had that kind of parity before in Overwatch for a long time.
Do you think it's almost to the stage where, because generally rosters, you always wanted one of your DPS to be projectile, the other hit scan, so that you'd have the versatility. Is that, I mean, that's still probably preferred, but do you think we're at a stage where you can just get to DPS specialists who are just both hit scan or both projectile and make it work? Is that the kind of, is that the level of parity you think we're going to see?
Let me.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead first.
Well, I think it's still very difficult because only very few players in the top of competitive Overwatch right now can play hit scan and projectile at an extremely high level. Like Surefour and Tavik, maybe one of the 2, 3, 4 players that can do that, and the majority of other players can only play hit scan or projectile. And you know that as we go forward is going to be an issue. We're going to have players that have to be proficient on many different heroes, and triple DPS maybe making a comeback, closed beta style, bros.
So before we throw the break here, I have one question here, which I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. But you take a look at where things are meta-wise. I feel like we've had a trend in Overwatch where a new patch hits and we're just like, the meta is super healthy. We're seeing so many options. If you think back to the last patch, there was a point where we thought that every support was going to be super viable because in the very beginning, we were seeing Mercies, we were seeing Zens, we were seeing Anas. It felt like we had a whole ton of diversity. And then as things developed, teams really settled into a groove and we saw much less diversity, especially on the support end.
Yeah.
You're praising this current patch for its diversity. Do you think it's something that's going to stay, or do you think eventually, like anything else, we will settle into compositions that are just seen as stronger than pretty much the rest?
I mean, I think the support place is the one to look at the most, and let's be real here, ZP. Zen had 50% Discord, and that was going to be the de facto support that you ran. And then everyone forgot that Ana was broken the whole time, but Zen Discord was just so good. You ran Zen instead of Ana. As soon as they put Zen back to 30%, Ana became the default support. And the Mercy experimentation that Blizzard did with 50% boost back from the closed beta days got taken away after like 2 days. So Mercy went back to the dead factor. Lucio will pretty much never, ever leave King of the Hill. I've seen so many cute little experiments by teams running like Ana Zen or Zen Mercy so far, and none of them are going to work on King of the Hill. So at least King of the Hill, Lucio will always continue to be there. But I think on payload especially, we will finally be seeing a bunch of different diversity, especially on first and last point, offense and defense, when you don't necessarily need Lucio more than ever. But you know what? We have to see more of the top teams. I watched one at Takai and OGN this morning. They were running Lucio. It wouldn't surprise me to see Lucio stay to be really the support continue, and then just one of the others kind of flex around.
All right, so I did want to ask something about Sombra and wonder if we have another Ana situation on our hands where people are undervaluing her right now, but we will save that
but
to
she's not OP like Ana. Like, Ana was always insane, but Zen was just so good that we couldn't really see how insane Ana's ult was. I don't think Sombra is at that level yet from what I've seen, but you never know.
All right, so we will deep dive in that a little bit more, but we're going to be taking a quick break. When we come back, it's going to be me and Uber following in Mousesports versus Bonjour, team formerly known as Melty. We have a lot of rebranding of teams here as they're getting new sponsors and all the rest, but Bonjour is a great name. I'm actually going to be sad if and when they get picked up by a new sponsor. But this is the Alienware Monthly Melee Europe, our inaugural edition of the EU Cup. So glad to get EU teams in here. We'll be back here after a short break. Stay tuned.